What's up, guys? Brady Fior coming at you with another video, and with this new Pop Evil album coming out, I guess now tomorrow, I thought now would be a good time to do a full discography ranking for this band. You know, I don't find myself gravitating towards a whole lot of new modern hard rock, unless it's a band that I've really enjoyed for years, and Pop Evil is definitely one of those bands. I was super into them, like, in high school, I guess. That might sound like a backhanded compliment, but I don't mean it like that. But seriously, they were like one of my favorite bands at the time, and I thought it'd be interesting to revisit their entire catalog, which I kind of haven't done in a while, and see how it holds up to me now. So let's get right into it. Pop Evil albums ranked. Starting at the bottom of the list at the number 7 spot, I'm giving to their second album, 2011's War of Angels. You know, it was interesting revisiting all of these older albums because, like, there were a few albums, as you'll come to see, that kind of just bored me, and there were other albums where I really like a good chunk of the songs, but then I really don't like another chunk of the songs. This is one of those albums that just kind of bores me listening to it now. Like, it's not, like, terrible, but there's just really nothing there for me. I just feel like at this point, Pop Evil just sound like a really, really generic hard rock, sort of maybe metal-leaning, ultimately kind of butt rock band. Like, on the heavier side, you got the opening track, Last Man Standing, which just sounds like it should be like a WWE entrance theme for some wrestler. The track Boss's Daughter actually has some decently sharp riffing, but I'm really not into the whole, like, 80s glam metal thing going on. And the song actually features Mick Mars doing a guitar solo. And then on the more melodic side, you got a song like Purple, which is just so fucking corny. I actually remember liking this song, like, when I first heard it in high school, but now, like, it's borderline unlistenable for me. The one song on this album that I really still enjoy is this track, Monster You Made. I still think that song is, like, a really, just like an anthem. Sure, it's a little butt rocky, but I will shamelessly say that I still enjoy listening to this track. But unfortunately, it's kind of the only song on here where that's the case. And sort of on a similar note here, for the number 6 spot, I'm giving to their debut album, actually Lipstick on the Mirror from 2008. Really, the only reason this album is above War of Angels is because there are just slightly more songs that I enjoy off of it. In fact, Somebody Like You is a great instance of that, just with its overall kind of somber vibe to it the whole time, but then there's that stomping chorus. Hard Highway kind of is in a similar vein, but it has more of like a bluesy vibe to it that I actually think works. And then the track Breathe actually has some decently catchy grooves, especially in the intro and those verses. But again, that's about it. Like, the big single off of this album, 155, kind of cheesy looking back on it. Same with Hero, which is another one of the big hits off of this album. Listening back, these are songs that really go for, like, the radio play, but I just don't think they're catchy. They really just don't resonate with me. And this album is very in line with War of Angels in a sense that the rest of the album just kind of bores me. There isn't a whole lot going on, and they just really sound like a generic butt rock band. There's even a song on here called Shinedown, and it's one of the weakest tracks on here. That was one of the tracks that I genuinely couldn't remember listening to or what it sounded like revisiting this album, but I knew that the hook was going to be Shine Down on Me, or Shine Down Your Light on Me in this case, and of course I was right. So again, not like a terrible album, just really generic and kind of boring. The number 5 spot, I'm giving to their self-titled album, Pop Evil, of course, that came out in 2018. See, now we're getting into the albums where there are multiple songs that I enjoy, but they're kind of dragged down by other songs that I fucking hate. Like, case in point, the tracks Colors Bleed and Art of War go for this pretty aggressive, almost Rage Against the Machine type of, like, actual rap rock and rap metal, and they pull it off pretty well. Colors Bleed in particular has this, like, extended melodic bridge section that I think is pretty cool, and then it explodes back into that dynamic main riff. But then you have a track like When We Were Young, which is just an absolute fucking monstrosity of a song. I find this song really unlistenable. I was actually, like, scared to listen to this song again because I remember not liking it at the time when it came out, which is saying something considering how much I loved this band at the time. But those half-rapped, like, vocal deliveries and vocal cadences, when we were young. Be Legendary is another one that I find just insufferable now. It has this super cheesy and generic, like, alt-rock lick that drives most of the song. And this is another track that just screams WWE entrance music. Yeah, aside from those good and bad examples, Nothing But Thieves is a cool song. It's a bit more extended and a bit more kind of nuanced, I guess. Also, Birds of Prey and Crime to Remember Both have some genuinely emotional chord progressions and some interesting lyrics that are very actually inspired. But aside from that, the rest of the album is pretty boring. Like Rewind, God's Damn, both kind of take things back to like Pop Evil's first two albums and not in a good way. So yeah, very, very spotty on this album. That's the best way of describing it. And once again, in a very similar vein here, in the number 4 spot, I'm giving it to their 2021 album, Versatile. And it's kind of the same issue here in the sense that there are multiple songs that I really enjoy on here still, and then there's other songs that just are not it. Favorite track on the album is probably Worse Than Me. It's got a really full and like just really lively and open-sounding chorus that I enjoy, and the whole track, honestly, is just full of energy. I really like this track still. Human Nature and Survivor both go for kind of like a mid-tempo alt-rock feel, and they deliver pretty well. I also like Inferno. It's got kind of like that more quiet intro that does feel like it's building tension, and then the song as a whole ends up being really, really dramatic, despite it being kind of one of the more pop-esque songs on here, but it works. But yeah, again, the rest of the songs on here are either really bad or just kind of boring. The worst song by far on this album, and probably a song that I would tie with When We Were Young for their worst song to date, is actually the lead single at the time, the song Work. This song is about as Imagine Dragons as you could possibly get. Stronger the Time Is Now, Raise Your Flag, kind of do that too. Not as bad, but still not good song. And you have tracks like Breathe Again and Set Me Free, Same Blood too, that have cool moments, but overall don't really hook me or keep me coming back. Like Same Blood actually is kind of a decent song, but it always makes me cringe when bands use like past lyrics in their new songs. Like there's in the second verse of this song, I believe Lee Kakati says, "Finding my footsteps, I'm breathing again out of the trenches, waking the lions within," which references a bunch of their past singles. Overall, like I said, it's a solid song with also a cool guest feature, but that part kind of ruins it for me, not gonna lie. I've just always seen that as kind of just lyrically lazy, you know? Like, there weren't any other ideas put into that. Especially considering, like, this track lyrically is about a very meaningful idea. Like, I don't understand why those lyrics took the place of other lyrics that could have contributed a lot to that narrative. So much like the self-titled here, some really good songs and some really shitty songs. So now we get to the number 3 spot, and we're getting into the albums that I would definitely say I enjoy overall. For number 3, I'm giving it to their last album, 2023 Skeletons. For one, it was great to see the band return to kind of their more aggressive hard rock sound and kind of doing less poppy experimenting. Like, even though like songs like Paranoid and Dead Reckoning aren't like my favorite songs on here, they're still pretty aggressive, and as a result, like, they end up being at least somewhat enjoyable for me still. There's multiple songs I genuinely enjoy on here, though. My favorite by far is the track Worth It. I fucking love this song. It's so soulful, and these melodies on display are just so genuinely warm and emotional. Lee Kakati's vocals on this song are just so triumphant sounding and match those melodies perfectly. This song I play this song and it makes me smile. Like, I know that sounds corny, but it does. Other highlights, Circle, super just powerful sounding song, especially that chorus. Same with Eye of the Storm. I especially love after the first chorus of the song when you get that more aggressive pounding snare drum driving those second verses going. There's some more really like full and aggressive sounding vocals from Lee there. Who Will We Become, Wrong Direction, both pretty solid songs as well. Really the only track I dislike on this album is Sound of Glory, just because of reasons I've already said about past songs from this band. And the title track might be a little corny too, but that one's at least decent. And shout out to all 3 of the guest features on this album. I actually think they all sound pretty good and fit the song well. At number 2, I'm giving to their 2015 album Up. I was fucking obsessed with this album when it first came out. Does it have that same effect that it did when I was 15? No, not really, but I still like it. Like, I don't care what kind of music you listen to. If you listen to songs like Footsteps and Ways to Get High, there's no way you're going to walk away from those songs without any of it stuck in your head. These songs are just pure hooks, like through and through. Also, Take It All, which is honestly just a much better version of what they tried to do with Be Legendary on their self-titled. It's just way catchier. In Disarray has this fucking awesome groove that drives the song. Vendetta is super catchy, aggressive, and just powerful. The track Lux maybe is a little bit corny, but it has like these tropical sounding background vocals that I think are cool. And believe it or not, there's 3 songs on this album that genuinely I find myself really liking still. Like the somber closer, Till Kingdom Come, just really goes for this just, I think somber is the best way to describe it, and it executes it really well. The ballad on here, Seattle Rain, is genuinely very heartwarming, and again, warm and just super packed with emotion, and again, kind of has like a tropical feel to it. Like it genuinely feels like I listen to the song and I picture just it raining outside. And my favorite track when this album first came out and still is Ghost of Muskegon, which pretty much has the best elements of every song on this album that I've already mentioned and complimented. It's super catchy and filled with hooks. It has some great, genuinely emotional melodies. Lee Kikati's vocals pack tons of emotion and are filled with this element of despair. Like when he says, "I've made more waves than the ocean," I genuinely feel like the despair and the emotion that he sang in that delivery. There's really just 2 tracks on this album that didn't do it for me. Core, I just found kind of boring. There's the other ballad on here, If Only For Now. Doesn't really do a whole lot for me. And there's that random like 20-second interlude that is pretty pointless. But overall, like as a full body of work, I still enjoy this album. And in the number 1 spot, the album that got me into this band and still my favorite album, period, by this band, 2013's Onyx. Not only is this album like the album that, in my opinion, these guys really established a unique sound true to them and kind of lost the generic nature of their first 2 albums, but it's their tightest track list with the least amount of duds. This album by far has the band's best riffing on it. I mean, Trenches and Fly Away are 2 of the best riffs this band has ever written. That sort of like half-rapped vocal delivery that Lee uses on Trenches and also Divide is an experiment that actually works for them. I think this is what on this album separated them apart from all the bands that they kind of just sound like they were trying to fit in with. And yeah, like the heavier cuts in general on this album are just really aggressive. Trenches, Deal with the Devil too, with that Metallica-esque pre-chorus. The more somber and emotional tracks on here, great. And there's multiple songs on here that kind of bring both of those elements together. Like Behind Closed Doors has this awesome duality between these piano-driven somber sections and then these double-time, more heavy and aggressive parts. And it all culminates in this big dramatic chorus. And the bridge section brings in some double bass to the mix. This is just such a dynamic song. Same with Sixth Sense, how there's kind of like those electronic influences in those verses. And then the chorus, again, just super catchy. There's some more rasp in Lee's vocal delivery. And then you have songs like Torn to Pieces and Silence and Scars that are just really genuinely emotional. Also the song Beautiful, which like lyrically, like on paper, the lyrics might sound corny, but the way Lee delivers them, it's genuinely like a moving and inspiring song. And I really appreciate lyrically how this album really tackles multiple different aspects of mental health. Whether it's addiction, like on Deal with the Devil, or grievance and loss on Torn to Pieces, where Lee actually sings about his father passing. There's one song on this entire album that doesn't do it for me, and that's the closing track, Flawed, and it's not even like a bad song. It just kind of bores me a little bit. But every other track on this album I enjoy. And for me, that album, without question, is their crowning achievement to date. Yeah, that's about all I have. I'm definitely going to be reviewing What Remains when it drops. I guess, again, technically tomorrow now. I'm recording this just after midnight. So if you enjoyed this video, definitely stay tuned for that review and hit the subscribe button for more discography rankings and album reviews and overall rock and metal music content. And for any fans of this band that may be watching, definitely let me know in the comments what your discography ranking is for them. Even though I definitely didn't enjoy a lot of the band's catalog, it's still been really fun revisiting it overall just because of how much, like I said, how much I enjoyed them back in the day. And Pop Evil's just one of those bands where even if I end up hating this new album, I'm always going to have a soft spot for them, and I'm always going to root for them and wish them the best. So yeah, that's about all I have. Once again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.